Hi, it's Lee, and welcome to the Test Economist. Tesla's a growth company for sure. I mean, we know that we have a target to increase run rate by more than 10 times the current rate by the end of this decade, which incidentally is only 6.5 years away now. 10 times production. Does feel a little hard to believe at the moment, but either way, we know Tesla plan on growing at a high rate relative to what they're producing now. I mean, if we get Mexico fully complete and ramped, then that's 2 million units a year already. And Elon said they will also announce an additional factory at the end of this year too, of which we might expect a similar factory to Mexico, i.e. about a 2 million year run rate as well. But it might take 3 years at least before just those two factories are built and ramped. But that would, however, triple the current run rate, along with hopefully more factories on the way by then too. But still, this growth is slow. Although we're told that Tesla is not a car company, it doesn't change the fact they do indeed make cars. Cars are a highly capital-intensive product and require massive factories. In addition to that, Tesla are making factories bigger than the typical car factories in order to generate more economies of scale and reduce costs. As we know how important it is to get costs down for EVs, this is just what Henry Ford did with the internal combustion engine cars, when he copied what Andrew Carnegie did with steel. They built larger facilities in order to reduce cost, and Tesla have built the largest factory in the world, and potentially will do it again when Mexico is complete. A car is a big product, so needs big factories, and getting those costs down require new techniques for production that have not yet been proven, and may also create complexities and hinder the growth, as we already seen with 4680 cells, and we are potentially about to discover with Cybertruck. And then we'll also find out with Tesla's unboxed parallel manufacturing techniques too. This will all take time. Yes, it's really exciting what is happening. Tesla is transforming transportation and becoming electric, just like Google changed search and Facebook changed social. Except they didn't require enormous factories for manufacturing. It could be done with code. We know Tesla is going to be big when they're up to even around 5 million a year run rate, hopefully within a few years. The numbers look good alone for that many EVs, especially if we assume that interest rates have lowered by that time. It just takes a long time compared to the likes of tech growth companies like Google or Facebook that don't need to rely on the physical side of manufacturing still. But Tesla is also a tech growth company too, the main service being FSD. However, there's an issue of FSD that the likes of Google didn't have to face. Right now, Tesla's FSD is amazing. It really is. It's absolutely incredible, despite what the bears may say. But the problem with FSD compared to Google is that FSD has to be perfect. Google can deliver results that are not 100% accurate. That is okay, especially back in the old days, compared to what the alternatives were. The problem with Tesla's tech is that if it's not perfect, then people could get hurt, or even face fatalities. That is a lot more extreme compared to Google not showing you the best Chinese restaurant in your local area. FSD is binary. It's either solved or it is not. In the meantime, it's still amazing, but until it's solved, it will require a human in front of the wheel concentrating in case there needs to be an intervention. It's still worth having in the meantime though, as it's still less stressful and less effort than having to drive yourself and turn the wheel or press the accelerator or brake pedals. It's still a great product offering value, but there is an exponential difference when it is solved and the passengers can simply relax and concentrate on other activities in the car rather than making sure the car is driving itself correctly. So although Tesla is making great steps in growth with FSD and the software, it doesn't matter as much. It's not so much about the level of progress Tesla are achieving, it's more about how close they are getting to when it's solved. For example, if FSD has improved 30 times over the last year, it's an arbitrary statistic. What is relevant is how far away it is to be solved, not how far it has come. I think the reality of when it is solved is that instead of interventions, is that Tesla is able to make the car pull over or somehow stop at least to avoid any type of collision. Instead, it may just create a temporary traffic jam or something, or just annoy a few drivers. From there, it can progress without the risk of people being injured. At least a much lower risk than non-FSD cars. So although the progress on FSD may be amazing, it doesn't have enough impact until we can really see an end in sight. And sure, Elon thinks, once again, it may be this year. and gives compelling arguments as to why. But it's entirely up to you on how much weight you want to place on Elon's opinion on when FSD will be complete. Along with other sides of growth like Tesla's in-house battery production. If they can solve dry battery electrodes at scale, then we could see some dramatic growth in production with Berlin and Texas too. But again, it looks like 4680s are going to take longer than expected too. Tesla jumped into the deep end with their in-house battery production. However, once we get past these teething issues, perhaps in a few years, we should have 4680s able to ramp to high volume production and hopefully replicated easily enough in other factories. The same with the unboxed parallel production line, capable of using LFP cells that are proven scalable already, at least scalable enough for Tesla to meet 5 million a year production by this stage. But it may well take dry battery electrodes if Tesla want to hit 20 million by the end of the year. From around Battery Day, it sure felt like Tesla's growth was going to continue at 50% year over year or even more, and we had ample reasons as to why. We saw how quickly the Model Y factory in Shanghai not only was constructed, but how fast it ramped. Then we had Berlin and Texas, two factories, even larger and more expected capacity than Shanghai. They're using more advanced, improved production techniques that will lower costs again, along with a revolutionary new cell that could be reduced in almost 1/10 the footprint of the 2170 factory in Nevada. Well, believe it or not, EV production and Tesla is still limited by cells and batteries. And if we don't have 4680 cells producing the run rates that we were hoping, then Tesla is limited by whatever CATL are producing for them. Sure, there's other battery suppliers too, but none come close to the output that CATL deliver, and with the number of EVs Tesla produce, CATL is the only cell manufacturer that will have any great impact on numbers. That would essentially mean that Tesla's growth is somewhat at the mercy of not only CATL's growth, but what CATL allowed Tesla to grow at. But there's a brand new CATL fab next door to Giga Shanghai with a capacity of 80 to 100 gigawatt hours a year, and a rumour that CATL are building a new fab in Texas with 100 gigawatt hours a year. Also, the new vehicles coming out of Mexico sound as if they're going to have around a 50 kilowatt hour battery. The smaller the battery in the EV, even the less cells required, meaning that Tesla can grow production faster. So Tesla's growth may still take a few years until it gets going noticeably. Over that time, the stock will behave in all sorts of ways. At times, the market builds up enthusiasm, excitement, and hope, and the stock runs. Other times, it looks disappointing, FUD becomes more believable, or there looks like a market crash is on the way, or potentially there really is. Over this time of growth, there isn't really going to be any impact on the earnings either, until I would say Mexico starts to ramp to about 500,000 units a year. Sure, a Cybertruck at volume production will add to earnings, but at the same time, Mexico will be running at a loss until it starts to ramp. Although in the meantime, 4680 sales could ramp, and the last update we had on Q4 earnings call was that 4680s will ramp next year, which will mean we could see 500,000 more Model Ys from Berlin and Texas, which will have an impact, especially if the 4680 cost is where Elon says. I'm not meaning to sound negative here, I'm just saying that the next 2 to 3 years or so may not see any major impact in earnings yet. Tesla is still getting their ducks in a row when it comes to manufacturing their new Gen 3 platform and in-house cells. Of course, there's always breakthroughs in Tesla's AI and robotics that could happen in the meantime too, but that's much harder to quantify compared to seeing a physical factory constructed. And I'm not saying the stock will drop over that time. In fact, it could keep running as we see more evidence of what Tesla are capable of over that time, and it becomes more believable that the end game can be achieved, which is what it's all about. Of course, over any time, Tesla can come out with surprises, as they often do. A new product announced that they've been working on for years, like a Tesla HVAC or a new LFP Powerwall that's more affordable to the masses and can save many households on electricity costs, or maybe even in-house LFP cells. Remember, Tesla is not just a car company. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.